Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I will discuss how to get data from a form. So basically, we have a form something like this. So a form will allow you to input data such as this one, and then we will get this data using PHP. So that is our topic for today. But before that, please support this channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit also the notification bell so that you will be notified with all the new videos that I'm going to upload in this channel. And so like I said a while ago, we will have a form. So we will use HTML to create this form. And then once we click this get data here, we will get all this data and display this in another page. So that is what we're trying to do here. Okay, so I assume that you already know how to create a form. But for this one, I will again review you on how to use the elements that we will use in order for us to input data and eventually to get the data. So in this case, for example, here, you must have a form. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, so you have to use the form element. So in this case, I have here a form element. There you go. So the name of my PHP file here, by the way, is userinfo.php. Okay, so you have a form here, and these two are to be used. The method, which is post. So all data that we have to get from my form, we'll use the post. And then your action is equal to PHP file. So this PHP file is the file that will actually get the data. So later on, I will discuss this one. So the next thing is you must have a table. So it will be better if you have a table so that the arrangement of your label and your elements are properly in order. So for example, here on the first column, that will be the labels, and on the right side or on the second column, that will be your elements such as your text box, your radio button, your drop down box, and then your text area here. And so again, here I just use text box, I just use radio button. Okay, text box allows you to input something, okay, type something or type some text, whereas radio button will allow you to select one from many choices. In this case, we have only two choices, male and female. So radio button. So and then we have here a drop down box wherein I can select also one from four choices right here. Of course, you can have your own number of choices. So here I just have 4, and then I'm just going to use the password, which is the same with text box. It is just the same with text box. Okay, so basically, if you know how to use text box, you know already how to use password. The only difference is here in the password, when you type, what is showing are some bullets, so something like that. So it is hiding what you are typing. So something like that. And then this one, this is similar to text box. It's just the same, just we call this one as text area, wherein you can type multiple lines of text. Okay, so for example here, I can type as many as I can, and you can adjust it by clicking and dragging this corner here, like for example like this. Again, another important thing is that here, whenever you use element, let's say for example a text box, there are two things that you need to remember always. So for the text box, which is this one here, so you have to use the input. Okay, so two things. You have to assign a name, and you make sure that what you want is the text. The type is equal to text. So you have to mention here which type of input you're going to use. So in this case, text. That means input or type equal text is equal to something like this text box. So you're creating a text box. Okay, so the name of that text box is the name. Okay, so you can assign your own name here. So I just use the D name. Of course, you can have your own. Let's say, for example, name equal X. So it's up to you, whatever name you wish to use. Okay, so the name will be used because later on when we get the data, let's say for example here Mike, so it will be represented by your name, the name here, which is D name. So in essence, it's like the value of D name is Mike because Mike is the one you type here in your text box here. Okay, so something like that. So the next one again is gender. Okay, so here we are using radio button. Okay, so here the type is radio. Look at the difference. In the name, I am using type equal text because I'm going to type a text. I'm going to type a content. Okay, the content that I'm going to input is a text. Here, I'm going to use radio button, so type equal radio. So something like that. Okay, so again, here because we have to choose only one out of the many choices, in this case, 2 choices. So you will notice that the name is the same. Okay, it will be the same for all. So if you have 2 choices, 3 choices, 4 choices, name will be just the same. Okay, so in this case, the name that I use is gender. Like I said, you can have your own name here. So in this case, I will just be using gender. So meaning to say, if I select male, okay, the value of gender is male because I put there value equal male. Okay, so whatever the value that you specify here, that will be the value of gender. So for example here, if you say 1 and then you say here 2, that means when I select male, the value of gender, the name gender here is 1. So something like that. So in this case, I will just be using, again, I will be using male, female, the word male and the word female. So something like that. Of course, again, you can have your own value here. So you can use numeric value or string value here. Okay, so something like that. And then the next one is a drop-down box. That is what we call drop-down box. This one here, wherein once you click this drop arrow here or this arrow here, drop-down choices will appear and you can select whichever you want. Let's say I will select second year. Okay, so to do that, you have to use 2 elements. One is select and the other one is option. Okay, the name of this drop-down box, okay, the element that you will use here is select, and then you have to assign a name. So name equal level. So I just used level. So again, we're using names. So don't forget always, for every element that you will use, there should be a name. So in this case, level. And then the choices that you will put here, you have to use the option element. So as you can see here, option / option. Okay, again, select / select. All right, inside the select will be your choices. So you have to use the option element. So option, and then you will have your choice here. Inside the beginning element and ending element, that will be the choice. So first year, second year, third year, fourth year, it's up to you whatever you want to put. So here I just put first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Okay, so something like that. Now, for example here, if I select here second year, okay, the value that I will get there is actually 1, 2, 3, or 4. So in this case, it is 2 because I selected second year. Okay, so when I click get data, I will be getting 2. So in other words, you have to use value to specify the actual value of what you selected. So if you selected the fourth year, okay, so the value of this fourth year is actually 4. Okay, so you can specify your own here. I just put 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you can specify, let's say here, for first year, you will say FY. Okay, so when you select first year, the value of level, because that's the name of your drop down, the value of that is FY. So that's the meaning of that. So in this case, again, I will just return it to 1. So it's going to be like that. So you can specify your own values here. Alright, the next one will be just like text box, okay, but this time the type is password. So that's the difference between type equal text and type equal password. Okay, the difference is that in the text, whatever you type, it is showing. Alright, I mean, it is being displayed. Okay, so whereas in the password, because well, usually this is used in login form so that you cannot see the password of the user. So it is hiding the characters. Okay, so type equal password. So basically that's the difference between the two. Okay, so here the name that I use is PW. Okay, again, whatever name that you want to use, it's up to you. And then here, this one here, wherein you can type multiple rows of text. So that is what you call the text area. So you just have to use the text area, something like this. There you go. So you must have beginning text area element, and then you must end it with this last text area element. If you put data, okay, between beginning and ending element, let's say here, input data here. Okay, so when you run, when you refresh, okay, so automatically the data is there already. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh it. So that's it, it's coming like that. So if you don't like to have anything inside the text area when you run it, so you just have to put nothing there. So beginning and then ending. So refresh, there you go. Okay, also you can specify the number of columns or number of text that you can type. So in this case, calls equal 20, so you can type 20 characters here, and then rows initially is 2, so you have 2 there. If you would like to have, let's say 4, I'm going to save it, I'm going to refresh it. So as you can see, I have 4 here, 4 lines. Okay, so I can type 4 rows here, I mean rows of text. Okay, so again, you have to give a name for this text area. So the name of this is called remarks. I just call it as remarks. So as simple as that. So I'm sure you know this one. So I assume that you know how to create a form here. So we just make a review. Another thing is you must have 2 or at least 1 here button. One is reset. Okay, the type is reset. The other one is submit. The submit is the one to use if you want to get the data now. Okay, to process now the data, to get the data or to process the data. So that's the submit. Type equals submit. Okay, you can type the submit in small or capital, it doesn't matter. Also the reset. The reset has an automatic function. That means when I click reset, it automatically reset the form. That means it will remove all your inputs. So something like that. That's why it's called reset. And then the value here, okay, it's different from the value from the option here. The value in the submit or in the reset, that simply means the label for your button here. These are actually button. Okay, so input type submit is a button. Input type reset is actually a button. Okay, so the name that I'm going to use for my submit is submit1, and for the reset is called reset1. So as you can see, for every element or objects that you will use for inputting or element for inputting will have a name, and you will use these names to get the data. And then the next thing that we will be doing is, well, we have to input now the data. For example, like this, I'm going to select here 3rd year. Here I'm going to input my password. Let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Of course you will not see that. And then here, this is the remarks. So as simple as this. So how can we get this data? What will happen now is, let's go back to our form. In line number 10, you will have an action here. So action equal, you have to type this, action equal the file name of your PHP file. So in this case, I use getData.php. And so here it is. There you go. So you have to put now your code here in getting the data from the form. So you will have two files. One form, this is it, this is the form, and another file. When you click this button, it will go to that file. In this case, it is called the getData.php. It will go there to get the data. So something like that. So when I click this one, it will go to this file, getData.php. Both of these files, I saved these files on the same folder. So I saved them in a folder. Inside the folder, it's called data from form. So something like that. So I use this folder to save these two files here. So something like that. Okay, so again, you save, since I'm using WAMP server, so I'm going to save all my files inside WAMP64 www. So something like that. So inside the www, I just created a form, or I just created a folder, data from form, and I save all my files here. So something like that. Of course, you can save your files anywhere you wish to save them, but of course we are using WAMP server, so it will be better if you will save those here under www folder. Okay, so you can create your folder here inside the www folder. So that is what I did. So actually here, and if you notice in our previous my video tutorial, I am using expressions there. So actually I created all these programs, I mean these codes here, using expressions. However, the problem with expression is that you cannot show two programs or two PHP program in one screen. Okay, so right now I am using Visual Studio Code. This Visual Studio Code is an IDE that you can use for creating PHP program and other programming language. So the nice thing about this is that I can open two programs, one here and another one here, so that we can see both programs. So unlike here in Web Expression, I can only show to you one program at a time. So it's like this. So it's difficult for me to show some codes here while at the same time I'm doing some codes here. So of course you can do that. If you don't like to use Visual Studio Code, it's also possible. Okay, so but sometimes we need to see the variable name. For example, you forgot the variable name, so you tend to go here again and come back here again. But if you have both of them, something like this, left is your form and the other one is your getData.php, and it will be easy for you. Okay, so let's go back to our topic now. And so how do we get now the data? Once I click this get data, what will happen is that it will go to this getData.php. That is what we put here. Again, you can put your own PHP file name here and make sure that you create that file on that same folder. Okay, so here it is. So what I will do is I'm going to get each of this data here. Okay, so we will start from the name. So the name is this one here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to use a variable. Let's call it as let's say md name, right? Is equal to $_. I'm going to use the post because we're using here the method post, and usually in a form the method to be used here is always post. So in PHP we have this $_post to get the data from the form. So in this case, the syntax is simply $_post, all capital, POST, all capital. And then inside you will have here open and close square bracket, and inside it will be open and close double quotation mark. So double quotation mark. So and then the word dname. So this is the name of your text box. So input name dname. So there you go. So dname. All right, I'm going to get that data. This is it. It will get the data, and then I'm just going to put it in this variable $mdname. So as you can see, so that I will not use any other variable, I will not be thinking of any other variable, I will just use the same name, dname, just I will put m in the beginning. And as you all know, all the variables in PHP starts with $. So $m memory variable and then dname. Okay, I just use m. But if you don't like to use m, it's up to you. You can just say dname or you can just say x. Okay, so you're just transferring the data, okay, the value of this to $x. But me, I'm always using something like this, so m dname, so like this. Okay, so that they are just the same. Okay, so dname and then here m dname. But again, you can have your own variable. All right, so something like that. So I get already the value here. Okay, it will be easy for me if I will transfer it to $m dname. It will be much shorter. No need to use this. So every time I use the value of dname, I will just use the variable m dname. Okay, if you don't like to transfer, you can always use this one here. All right, so it's possible. Okay, so next is the gender. So I'm just going to say m gender is equal to, okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste it there. So this is gender. Okay, that's the name of our gender there. All right, our element gender, this one here. All right, so again, we're getting the data from the form. Next is I'm going to get the level. So $m level is equal to $post level. Okay, next is the password. So I'm just going to say $m pw is equal to $post pw. And the next is the remarks. So I'm just going to say $remarks. Okay, so m remarks or mrem, it's up to you. And I'm just going to say here remarks. There you go. So that completes our data now. So we have the remarks, okay, $post pw, $post level, $post gender, and dname. So now I can now print the data. So I can just say echo, let's say something like this, name. There you go. Okay, so I can just say here $md name. Okay, and then followed by, let's say br, so that it will go to the next line after which. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, paste it there. So this one will be the gender. So this is m gender. The other one would be level, m level. The other one will be m remarks. Okay, so this one will be remarks. And I forgot the other one. I think I'm just going to say password. Okay, if you want to print the password, of course. Okay, m password. We're just printing, so I'm just showing to you that we're getting the data. Okay, so yeah, pw. So like this. So I'm just showing to you that after getting the data, we can now use this data. All right, so we can print. Okay, if they are numbers, if the data, one of our data is a number, then we can use those in computation. Okay, we can do anything now here. Okay, so in this case, we just printed the data. So let us test it. I'm going to save now both, and I'm going to run it again, refresh. Okay, so let's say for instance, I'm going to say Mike here, male, so it will be third year, password is 123456, and let's say this is the remarks. So if I get data now, right, so if I click the get data now, so it should print. Okay, so it should go to this get data here and it will process this one. There you go. So once I click the submit button here, the submit button, so it will go to this file. Okay, and this file is the one to get the data from the form, and in this case we printed those value as you can see here. Alright, so the value for the name is Mike and so on, male 3 and so on. Okay, of course again you can do anything now here with this variable, MD name, M gender, M level, it's up to you. Okay, so it's going to be like that. Of course you can always not use this style. If you just want to print, you can just use directly this variable here. Let's say $post dname. Okay, so this is just my style. I just put the value into another variable, and then that variable is the one that I'm going to use in processing. Okay, but if you don't like that style, let's say for example here, okay, I'm going to make an example. Let's say here. Okay, so here, let's use the name. Okay, here. So instead of MD name, I will be using $_. So this one here. Okay, so you can also use directly the $post value. All right. So if I will refresh now, there you go. So you see, we were able to print again the Mike, but this time using the $post variable. Okay, so not the MD name. So what I'm trying to say here, you can use directly this variable here, $post, or you can transfer it to another variable and use that variable. So again, you can use anything now with this variable. You can use these variables. Okay, let's say for example the level, which is 3 right now here, you can test it. Okay, if M level is equal to 1, so you can do something about it, no? So using the if statement or switch statement, something like that for further processing. So this is just how to get the data from the form. Okay, so I hope you have learned something new in this tutorial video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on my next one.